help address many developmental challenges, including unemployment. Also coming up this morning, hundreds of foreign nationals suspected to have entered the country under the guise of asylum seekers undergoing screening by joint security operatives in Upper East region. And on the foreign front, 53 children fight for their lives after tear gas dropped in their class in Kenya. We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. My name is George Quinn. We're live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin from Parliament because the House has passed the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023. The amended bill gives the Interior Ministry the authority to issue licenses for the cultivation of cannabis for medicinal and industrial purposes. This is the second time the House has passed the bill. The first act was struck out by the Supreme Court, claiming an aspect of the law was not debated before passage.
Motion that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time. Minister for Interior.
Right Honourable Speaker, I move that the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 be now read the third time.
The question is that those in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
An act to amend the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2022, Act 1019, to insert Section 43 to empower the minister to grant a license for the cultivation of cannabis, which has not more than 0.3% THC content on dry weight basis for industrial purposes, for obtaining fiber or seed, or for medicinal purposes.
Honourable members, the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 is deemed read the third time and passed.
In reaction to this, the Empire Association of Ghana has welcomed the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023, which would allow for the growing of industrial cannabis for medicinal purposes. CEO of the association, Nana Kwaku Agyeman, says it will help address many developmental challenges of the country, including unemployment. Take a listen.
That Ghana is the winner because it's not just about us as entrepreneurs that we should celebrate alone this, because what we are looking at is jobs, tens of thousands of direct jobs and indirect jobs across the country, across the nation, something that we need. We have graduates who are leaving the university. They're being told there are no jobs for them. They should go and fend for themselves. But the establishment of this industry is something that could pull in their resources, their knowledge that they have learned in the universities, spent 4 years or so learning in the universities. So that's the first thing. It's also great for the economy because now the government of Ghana can have something whereby they will generate revenue internally, and that's from the taxes. And if you look at other countries and what those governments have been making from the taxes alone, it's been huge, it's humongous. Then also as well, it's good for the environment because at the moment we're clamoring to deal with Galamsey, and there are farmers that are sitting there that are looking at lands that they were previously paid peanuts for, and those lands have been poisoned with mercury and other toxic chemicals. Well, I wish to inform you that when we cultivate industrial hemp, industrial cannabis on those lands, that those lands will be reclaimed because the industrial cannabis will absorb all the toxins over a period of time, and the farmers will be able to go back to those farmlands and start cultivating high-value crops.
Right.
The same is true with our water bodies. The cultivation of industrial cannabis in those water bodies and on the banks, etc., will clean up those water bodies so that we can return to them and use them in our everyday domestic life.
Right.
And medication, in terms of medication, we have lots of children here and adults that suffer from epilepsy. And the oil from the cannabis, the industrial cannabis, is something that can be used to cure those seizures once and for all.
Right.
So there's lots of ways that we're going to benefit, but it's not just us.
Nana Kwajiman is the CEO of the Hampire Association of Ghana. And now the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, had earlier told management of Media General the benefits the country could derive from the cultivation of cannabis. Take a listen.
Canada uses it a lot to generate revenue. And we had a lot of businessmen who wanted to invest in Ghana. Because this one is legal, it will be controlled. And so it's only used for pharmaceuticals. And you earn a lot of revenue. So there are many ways of raising revenue, not e-levy. We tried to get him to this saying he will not understand. He had some passion for it. And finally, we lost. And this led us to all this. We're looking outside more than inside. But no country, nobody develops from looking outside. As individual, if you don't put in your own effort, and you think that others will borrow you money to develop, you are deceiving yourself. You become a slave in their hands. It's the same for the nation. And so we have to look within Ghana. So all those laws we passed and all the decisions I gave were to solve problems in the interest of the people.
Away from the passage of Narcotics Amendment Bill 2023, the Deputy Minister of Defense says, the Deputy Minister of Defense, Kweku Amenkwah-Manu, says Ghana's porous borders are partially to blame for the influx of foreign nationals who enter the country pretending to be seeking refuge. He said that some of the foreigners are being monitored for potential security threats to Ghana. The Deputy Minister was speaking in response to the operation the military conducted along the borders in Upper East Region.
Well, it has become necessary to undertake this exercise along our borders because it is one of the key, the key or the core duties of Ghana Armed Forces to make sure that our borders are protected. And that is exactly what they are doing. But if you look at the activities in our neighboring countries of Burkina Faso, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire, these countries have intensified their military actions against these terrorist groupings. And so Ghana obviously becomes a safe haven for these for people who are looking for a place to go. And so a lot of people are coming in huge numbers. And so it has become necessary to really look and see what is it that these people are coming to do, who are coming to this country, who comes in and who goes out. It is important we do that because intelligence has indicated that some of these people have actually disguised themselves into herdsmen, into illegal immigrants, and are coming into this country. Apart from those who we have that are coming through approved routes, we also have a good number coming through unapproved routes. And so it is a worrying thing, and it is something that we really have to be on top to really make sure that those who are coming through unapproved routes are really monitored, and then, whatever we need to do, we do to make sure that the Ghanaian is protected. If you have an approved route and somebody is coming through an approved route, you can easily monitor the person. But when you have porous borders such as ours, people can easily come in and then can easily go out. But fortunately for us, we were on top of the situation. And so, yes, some of them have come in, but we have been able to monitor, and also even those who came through the unapproved routes, we've been able to handle the situation and then, make any potential, I repeat, any potential, untoward thing that probably might have happened to this country into the bad. So we've been able to do that.
While the United Nations Refugee Agency has reacted to developments like this, it says it is concerned about reports in Ghana that hundreds of citizens seeking refuge from an insurgency in neighboring Burkina Faso were being deported. Burkina Faso is one of several West African countries fighting armed groups that took root in North Mali and have seized ground across the region over the past decade, killing thousands and displacing over 6 million in the process. More than 2 million have fled their homes in Burkina Faso alone, where frustrations over growing insecurity spurred 2 military takeovers last year. Some, mainly women and children, have sought refuge in North Ghana, where the insurgency has also hit in more recent years. And we're told that the UNHCR on Wednesday called on Ghana's government to guarantee access to its territory and asylum to Burkinabés fleeing the violence and cease reported expulsions. The agency added in a statement that it was working with Ghanaian authorities to ensure the protection of over 8,000 Burkinabe nationals and had set up a reception center in the bordering Upper East region with a capacity of 4,000 people. Ghana's government did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching the first bulletin of the day here on TV3 on New Day with me, Josh Quinn. In more news this morning, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has called for an investigation into the alleged leak tape in which some people were heard calling for the dismissal of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. This was after the Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah, submitted a statement on the floor of Parliament. If you're just tuning in, this is the morning news. Let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far. Just go into our social media platforms, TV3 Ghana. Engage us. We'll surely read your comment and share them to the rest of the world. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has called for an investigation into the alleged leak tape in which some people were heard calling for the dismissal of the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. This was after the Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah, submitted a statement on the floor of Parliament. We apologize for the poor quality in the visuals, so we'll surely bring you that. Okay, the story is ready.
On social media that have made waves in mainstream media. On Tuesday, the Interior Minister dismissed calls for an investigation into it and satisfied the minority has made an urgent call for an inquest into the matter.
In that leak tape, and the reason why it's important is on two very important things. A critical GP and country and our democracy.
It appears the majority on the floor were unwelcoming for any inquest that cannot establish the veracity and the characters.
I am here as the Minister for the as the power and answer questions or otherwise. But I will not allow anybody to impute into these statements that are made things that I did not know of.
We'll bring you the full story in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, a security analyst, Colonel Festus Abuaja, retired, has supported calls for forensic audit and investigations into the leaked audio. He dismissed claims that the audio could be AI generated, adding that the ruling government cannot be ruled out from being party to the plot.
Listen to the audio tape as of last night. Now, I think I join those who are calling for a probe into this mysterious audio. First of all, there have been earlier instances of audio tapes making all manner of allegations, which the state had taken the initiative to invite personalities alleged to be involved for questioning. Now, this audio tape is no different from those other instances. This one also has to be probed. But more importantly, the conversation in this audio tape has very serious ramifications for constitutional integrity. I'm not a lawyer, but I think if serving officers who are supposed to be apolitical goes to the extent of peddling influence, purportedly to have the IGP removed, that amounts to subversion of the Constitution. The platform that they chose to have that discussion, which I call a conspiracy, amounts to undermining the Constitution because the police service is part of the government structure. One of the institutions that can exercise this right of investigation is Parliament. This is not a tape which is a monologue where somebody has used AI to clone Alfred's voice and purported to Alfred certain statements. This is an audio file that shows clearly at least two persons, and you could hear background noises, including especially a telephone call that came in the middle of the conversation to one of the parties. If we want to get to the bottom of it forensically, it's a matter of requisitioning through a bench warrant or whatever means. So all those people making noises that the party is not involved, I beg to differ. One reason why this police officer, another police officer, another security officers have had the impudence to make such statements is because of state capture, because the political elite have intruded into the professional space, and therefore there are people that all of us call MPP officers, NDC officers. If we all grew up in a society where the culture is that nobody dares use politics to influence professional matters, this officer and other officers would not have dared to make those statements.
And now let's go back to our earlier story where the Speaker of Parliament is calling for an investigation into the alleged leak tape.
It's a trending news on social media that have made waves in mainstream media. On Tuesday, the Interior Minister dismissed calls for an investigation into it and satisfied the minority has made an urgent call for an inquest into the matter.
In that leak tape, and the reason why it's important, borders on two very important things. A critical institution, which is the Ghana Police Service, and the head, which is the IGP, and the stability of our country and our democracy. It
appears the majority on the floor were unwelcoming for any inquest that cannot establish the veracity and the characters.
I am here as the Minister for the Interior, and this House has the right to exercise its powers to let me come and answer questions or otherwise. But I will not allow anybody to impute into these statements that are made things that I did not know of. I've made it clear that there is no problem with the IGP. So what is committee about?
It simply means that attempts are being made to dislodge the current IGP so that they can have an IGP who is pliant, who would visit violence on the day of the election on innocent Ghanaians with a view to subverting the will of the electorate. These are matters that need to be thoroughly investigated.
If there's any apprehension on the other side, the Defense and Interior Committee is seized with every power to look into it. I don't want to believe that a leak tape where we don't know the source, we cannot even predict the identity of those in the tape.
But the NDC MPs were bent on having Parliament look into the matter.
Mr. Speaker, it's a truism that there is a leaked tape. Which leaked tape contains matters relating to the conduct of the Inspector General of Police and efforts and attempts at a conspiracy to seek his removal on the basis of those allegations in that tape. We collectively want to preserve this democracy. So what the deputy leader is seeking is that the Honorable Minister, this House, must take interest in conducting a thorough forensic audit into the leak tape.
Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagbin, then gave his directive.
There's the need for an investigation. So I will urge the maker of the urgent statement to submit in writing the terms of the proposed statement, which he just gave us notice. This will guide me to give the direction as to how the investigation or inquiry will be conducted by the appropriate committee of the House.
Away from Parliament, a team of Ghanaian surgeons has successfully performed kidney transplantations on 2 kidney failure patients at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Sarah Parko reports that the breakthrough surgery potentially reduces treatment costs, thus making it much more affordable for hundreds of Ghanaians with this disease.
Ghana has an estimated 13.3% chronic kidney disease prevalence, with over 1,000 patients on dialysis, requiring transplants for treatment. Most transplants are done in India, South Africa and Singapore, causing financial burdens for patients and their families. The landmark transplantation is the second to be conducted at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. The maiden one in 2019 was a collaboration with Transplant Links UK. 2 male patients and 2 female donors underwent a $21,000 transplant on July 4th and 5th, both at no cost. Management of the hospital is seeking Parliament's involvement in developing a legal framework for organ donation and harvest.
If we pass enabling legislation that allows people to say that, look, in the event of my death, you can harvest my kidney or my whatever organ, then this is something that will enable more transplantation cases to happen.
The transplant team, led by Professor Matthew Che and kidney specialist Dr. Vincent Boima, aims to expand local capacity at teaching hospitals nationwide.
No disease, no condition will prevent us from giving our Ghanaians what they really need. We are not only looking at Korle Bu, there are potential to train other people to be in the other hospitals.
The hospital's development partner, the First Sky Group, would fund the transplant for patients who can't afford.
But those who can pay, we are encouraging them that they should pay and receive these services.
Next month, 3 patients will undergo transplants, while plans for a kidney transplant theatre are underway. The cost of dialysis here at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital costs between 400 to 600 cedis. That means a patient will need over 70,000 cedis to undergo dialysis in a year. A transplant locally done is indeed going to be a relief to the less privileged. Sarah Penkru, TV3 News, Accra.
And now to the foreign front. 53 children have been rushed to a hospital in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, after falling unconscious when tear gas was thrown into their class by police during protests. Eagle Nursing Home Hospital owner, Dr. Aaron Shukuku, told the BBC they have been able to stabilize the children who have been at the hospital for about 4 hours. There have been protests around the country called by the opposition over the rising cost of living. 2 people are reported to have died as protesters stormed a police station and touched it, and another man died after a police van was attacked along the Nairobi Expressway in Molongo on the outskirts of the city. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has called off a rally that he was to hold at the Kamungunji grounds in the Nairobi suburb, citing police shootings, assault and harassment of his supporters. Transport and businesses have been disrupted around the country. Well, keep following up on this very protest in Kenya and update you in our subsequent bulletins. That's how we end the morning news. For more news update, you'd want to log on to our website, s3news.com. My name is George Quinnin. Don't count the days, make the days count. Good morning.
Wait, sorry, what?
Good morning.
Don't count the days, make
Let
the days
count.
count.
Let the days count.
Yeah.
Hey, you've changed the code.
It's
What
the
happened?
codes for me.
What happened today?
Daily codes.
I know, right?
With George Quinn.
As a human being, there, you have to change at a point
You
in
have to
time.
change. But you were stuck on one code for 2 years. So we
I've made
thank God
some
for the
progress.
change.
I've made some progress.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, good to see you, George. I hope you're well.
I'm fine, I'm fine.
Yeah.
The good news is today I'll be interviewing the original designer of the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum.
Oh, the young,
great.
the 29-year-old?
Oh,
you mean
Eric
Don Arthur?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
his
the guy,
father.
yeah.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's nice.
We'll
I'm
be
looking forward to
that.
I know. Okay. Well, thank you so much, George.
Yeah.
How you doing, girl?
I'm all right.
You're good. Have you slept?
I have, but it's a rather cold morning, a very cozy one, but I mean, we're still here to give you all the details that you need. Good morning, viewers, and you're welcome to another thrilling day here on TV3 New Day. As always, I'm delighted to be giving you, the best in news and entertainment. A huge thank you going out to George Quinning for those updates. Now, 13th day of July, time check is 6:25 a.m. and we have an action-packed day for you. So we're just going to head straight